Okay, y'all ready? Okay, I'm gonna record this. It's gonna be in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I just had a dream about 30 minutes ago, laying in my bed, which is over there, laying in my bed. And today, right now, it's May the 22nd, 2018, at around when the dream occurred was about 6:30 in the PM. And we're here at my apartment, the loft, at 804 South Jackson Street in Brookhaven, Mississippi. And it's been a wonderful day today. It's been a pretty good day here with the dogs. I got 7 chihuahuas, 9 counting the 2 up at Kristen's house. Mama's up there, Kyle's up there at the main house. Kristen lives up there. It's her property. I rent the guest house. It's a story of the time and place when this is. Okay. The deal is, like, I had this dream, and I'm gonna take my time and remember it. Okay, first of all, you have to know the significance of where the dream was set. Where that is what we used to call the triangle, out in front of my granny and papa's house, my mom's parents. Their house burned in 2001. They died in the late 70s, and my mom was renting his property off and on in the 1980s and 90s. And that property burned in 2001. The property that was right, that it was set right in front of, the road that runs right in front of that property is known as Devers Road or Divers Road. And in the dream, enough time had passed, like years and years and years from now was when the dream was set. And enough time had passed that Divers Road had become a superhighway, or at least a multi-lane highway with a median in between. So that I was standing up kind of on an embankment, with the, I was kind of up on an embankment where the house was kind of set up from the road and with the road in between. And that's when the dream started, I realized that my granddaughter, who right as of now is still in utero, not my daughter, but my granddaughter, that I was allowing to live in that house. And not only did I own the property that the old house used to be set on, the new house and the dream was set on, but I owned the property I was standing on and the property all around. So my granddaughter was a young woman who I was allowing to live in that house, and she had a child who was my great-grandchild, who was a little female child, and that child was being taken custody. Like, my granddaughter had lost custody of her daughter, basically, was the premise of the beginning premise of this dream. So I had just decided, driven out there, and I decided I wasn't going to interfere, but I was just going to, if anybody even noticed me, be that guy standing over there on the hill watching across the road. So I was watching. There was traffic on the road. It was busy. I've had parked my whatever vehicle some distance back, so that I was just standing there. It seems like I had on my black leather jacket, had my hair in a ponytail, basically appearing very similar to the way I do now, that many years in the future. So the people pulled up. Somehow the people pulled up. They were to take the child, and they did. And then some people pulled up on my side of the road and started videoing. So I thought, I could do that. I could get a little video glimpse of my little great-grandchild that I may not ever see again, So I pulled out my camera and started shooting video. And it was over. People who got got in their vehicle with like a minivan type vehicle with the child and drove off. I put my camera up, or maybe I continued to video, and the people on my side of the road, they were African American too. They turned around to see me, and there was a male and a female, and the man was like, and she was like, "Who's that?" Talking about me, and the man said, "Oh, hater." And I spoke up. I said, "Hater." I said, "How you know that?" I said, "Just because of the color of my skin." I said, "Actually, that child that just got taken was my great grandchild." And they, oh, and because then all of a sudden, they knew who I was, like the infamous Mr. Johnson that is never seen, but only whatever, like I was somebody of a legend to them that they were actually getting to see. So like all of a sudden they want to ask me all these questions. And the guy said, "Will you coming tomorrow?" You know, something was apparently to do with the child. The custody was coming. I said, "Well, I don't know. I guess if I decide to, I will." You know. Well, then the next thing, as I was sitting there talking to the two of them, this other group of African Americans pulled up from a church, and they were like, had heard of whatever was going down, and they, had to show up to show, moral support or support from the church. And that man did, and I just kind of looked at the man like, "Don't tell him who I am," And so they were having their kind of semi-church, whatever, and it seemed like I looked, and the people that were, congregated or whatever, were littering on the ground. Well, first of all, everybody but me was trespassing, and I didn't say it. I mean, but they were, and then gonna litter on the ground to add to that. So I just walked around and started picking up litter. And when I asked me what I'm doing, I said, "Well, y'all just littering all over this ground. I'm picking it up." Well, somehow, that was taken the wrong way. And they sent this white guy that was in a real cheap tan suit. They sent him over to me like he was somehow their liaison with the white community. They go send the white preacher over, to have some words with the white man. And he just looked at me and started jerking and stuff like he was convulsing, almost like he was speaking in tongues. That was like the body part of speaking in tongues, but not actually speaking in tongues. And he like slapped some money into my hand, and I looked, and it was about $25, and it was real new bills, that stick together. So all of a sudden he want to pray. So I prayed, but I prayed with him, and then like he got back in his vehicle, and like I stood there just trying to count the $25, even though they're like real stuck together because they were new. I mean, I didn't need the $25 in the dream, but I figured, rather than explain, who I was, that I owned all this land or whatever, I just took the money and started counting it. Put it in my pocket and continued picking up litter. Well, for some reason, they felt like they needed to stay there and watch me pick up litter, because I was white and blacks lived down here. Like inherently, I was up to no good. It was what was the preposition in the dream. It's like I must be up to no good because first of all, why would anybody pick up all this litter? And who is he? So I'm picking up litter, stuffing it all in my coat, everything. And it got to be nighttime. And, I wasn't paying much attention to my surroundings, even though I was, but not, much. But once something happened, I looked up in the direction of the house, and like there was something behind the house, not a structure, but like they had almost like set up a campfire and were sitting around it, but it wasn't a campfire. It was like large screen TVs, and they were going through videos and pictures taken earlier that day. And that's basically the way the dream ended. But I mean, there were several components in it I could probably die. Like the fact that I owned all that land. That's something. The fact that the Divers Road had turned into a superhighway. Um, you know, the different racial not prejudicial, but racial components. Blacks were this and white this, you know, and the fact that my granddaughter was losing her child. Another thing about it was like she had made the child with a African American man because she grew up her life uh, identifying as black. So that was the dream. But I was the white man that nobody could figure out who was. It was just standing there watching everything and just basically filing it all to myself. And then basically the whole reason I went was accomplished was getting to see custody taken from my grandchild of my great grandchild. So that was the dream.